So finally I'm going to get to do some cosmetic upgrades. Today we're going to be doing the drip tray on the Noble, so I'll take you through that and see how it looks when it's finished. As you might have seen in one of my previous videos, I did a video where I actually installed this drip tray, and I think I said at the time that I would look to get a carbon one in the future. Well, I now have that carbon one, so I'm going to take this old one off, which is very simple. Just take the wiper arms off and that should come out. I might have to disconnect the pipe here, but that's fine. This one can come off, and then I can look to see how the new one that's going on fits. So here we have the old drip tray, which is quite a flimsy thing, but does very functional, does the job and tidies up the front, and I was very pleased with it. And now we have a lovely shiny carbon fibre one, which is way more rigid, and looks the absolute nuts. Sourced through Tuxman Racing, I think it is, on the Noble Facebook page. So I'm going to try and fit this one now and see how that fits in there. If you haven't seen in my other video, this is basically what's under the drip tray. So normally, and when I got the car, this was all like this. There was no drip tray in place. Obviously you've got your master cylinder there, you've got your HVAC, so basically the heating system in there, and then you've got the wiper motor and all that bit, and this is the bulkhead. What can happen is obviously water will run straight down the bulkhead and it runs straight inside the car, so having the drip tray there just helps, and it tidies up the area quite nicely. So I was just fitting this in, and it does fit very well. I was just poking basically it in under the front lip here, and it's looking very, very nice. And I went around the other side and I noticed some water on the floor, which is never good. So looking under here, I'm not sure if you can see this, under here you can see there is a pool of water there, and I put that tray there probably a month ago because I noticed a little drop, and now there's water there and that tray is full of water, which means I have a water leak. So there's no point in pushing on further until I fix that leak, because I'd have to take all of this out anyway. All of this would have to come out to take that out to get to all the hoses and everything. So basically the job has changed now from changing the tray to praying that I don't have to change the radiator, and it's just where the hoses are old. Common thing, I believe. So job's changed. Never mind, we move on. So today's job, I'm going to try and take the front clam off, and then what I'm going to do, I've already taken out the fan shrouds. They've already come out. I've done that before, as you've probably seen in a previous video. So I'm going to take out, I'm going to think about taking out the front radiator, because the one I've got on order hasn't arrived yet. But then what I'm going to also do is do the tunnel cooling mod, which I'll show you in a minute. So this is the radiator here, and what happens is it cracks between where the fins join the actual side tanks. Apparently driver's side is more common. Mine's actually got it on both sides, so the way I could tell is basically looking under here. I'm going to try it with the camera in a minute, but it might be easier actually to show you with the once the front's off. But there's basically coolant running down right the way down here and into there. At the same time, I'm replacing the hoses, because as you can see they're not in the best of conditions anyway. They're quite old, and it's definitely leaking on the joints as well. So top hose, bottom hose, and there's some hoses in there as well. So the cooling mod, yeah. Water hoses come along here and then they go through the tunnel. That is a plate that sits over the front of the tunnel, and then they run through the car right the way through there and obviously to the engine. The challenge we have in a Noble M12 is the fact that these hoses get very hot. That heats the inside of the tunnel, and in turn heats the cabin quite rapidly, and also the gear stick. And in some cases I've heard stories of people saying they can't actually touch the gear stick when the car's really, really hot, because it's got so hot. And of course that doesn't do a lot for the linkage either. So what you do effectively is you make 2 holes in here, and then you take these ducts that run through here that would normally go into the heater, and you duct them down a tunnel, and that way you're blowing cold air down the tunnel. Now, there is talk about, well, does that create pressure in the back of the car under the clam? Potentially yes, but does it take the heat away from the tunnel? I've not heard anyone say it doesn't work, so that's what I'm going to try and do. And as I say, the radiator hasn't turned up. Obviously the job would be a lot easier if the radiator's out of the way, but my concern is I don't want to take the radiator out of the way and then not get to put the replacement in for a week or 2 and then find that I don't know how it went back together. So we'll see. Once I get the clam off, I'll certainly have some more access, but obviously the main thing is to try and get that plate off. And then I've bought some hoses, I've bought some clamps, I've bought lots of different pieces. I'll show you in a bit. Okay, so there's a screw there and a screw there, and this bolt is right in front of the screw, and I have read this before that needs to be removed, and obviously it's not easy to get to. There's also one down there. I've done the one at the top, all the ones on this side, the 3 on this side, sorry, 4 on this side, easy to get to and easy to get off. These are the hard ones. Done the easiest one. I can't get this one out, so I've sprayed it with WD-40, but I think once that bolt's removed I'll be able to get squarer on the actual screw, and I certainly don't want to be rounding it off. So the next job, to take this out, and I think this is a bracket for the power steering rack. So I'm just going to take that off and see how I get on. After lots and lots of fiddling, that plate is now gone, and you can see right into there. You can actually see the gear linkage at the front there. Here is the plate itself, which took a lot of fiddling to get out. Not an easy job, but I'm now going to go drill 2 holes in it. So just drilled the 2 holes. I put the plate back in temporarily, marked up where I wanted these to go, which are gonna sit in like that. Used a hole saw, 64mm hole saw, screwed it down to this block of wood and just drilled them out quite nicely. Now these have got little tabs on them so that they sit in like so. And now I've got to mark and drill these holes. Here we are, the front clam is off. Sitting on top of 2 duvets on the back of the car for ease, because I'm going to be spending some time on it. I don't want to be taking it on and off. I have now got the plate back in. Now some of you are going to say, oh look, it's used wood screws to hold them in, and that's correct. I have used wood screws to hold them in, only because the small domed head stainless steel nuts that I thought I had, I don't actually have, so I'm going to have to order those and just change them while this whole front is off like this. But that's how the plate sits, so it can be screwed back in now. It was very fiddly to get back in, but not impossible obviously, and not a too bad job. And now I can duct some hoses into there to cool that tunnel, which is excellent. So the next job will be removing the radiator. First I've got to drain it, and I've got to take off these bolts down the side there. Same on this side here. Now I also know that to get the radiator out I might either have to replace or take off this side panel here, this bit here, or I've seen some people have cut slots to slide the radiator out, so I might try that. I'm not sure yet. I'm just going to have a tinker around taking bits off, but I haven't got the spare one yet, as I said today, so I don't really be wanting to change it over just yet until I've got the other one to go straight back in. But you can see more now where it was leaking. You can see loads of like crystallized coolant, and on that side as well you can see that's been leaking pretty badly up there. Along there, and then I've got to change these pipes down here as well. Once all that's done, I can put everything back together, jack the back of the car up, fill it up with coolant and bleed the system through. So effectively they're all plates screwed in now, so their ducts come through here, they go up under there, and then they will go up through there, one into one, and then that one into the other, and then that should blow cold air through the tunnel, which will keep the tunnel cool, which will stop the cabin from heating up. So took the opportunity while I was there, I cleaned up all of this with a wire brush attachment on the drill and then painted it all, just to smarten it all up a bit. So I've redone the wires on the fans. That was like a first job I did to make sure that when I put them back in it goes nice and easy. I've loosened off and taken off the air conditioning or dryer unit for the AC to make it easier for the rad. I've taken off that hose there, drained out from there. I've disconnected the top hose to alleviate some pressure. Done the same this side and at the bottom as well. What I've also had to do, you might notice there's a shock missing here, because to get the radiator out, it obviously needs to come one way or the other. It can't come out because obviously the pipes go through these panels. So I have heard of cases where people have forced that bit over, cut the bottom there, and then slid the radiator out and pulled it out that way. I just thought I'd give it a go. I'm going to try and remove this whole panel, which has meant all these screws along here, screws along there, and then typically there was a screw there and a screw there, which you just can't get to unless you remove the shock. But then the shock's only 2 bolts, so giving that a go. I've also undone some 10mm bolts that are underneath, which sit up. There's 3 of them, there, there, and there. And you can see the other side, they sit in there. So now I've got to undo these bolts here, these bolts here, and we will see how we get. Now I'm not expecting this to be easy. I'm expecting to have to maybe undo this and move that out the way as well to get the radiator out, but we'll just take our time and we'll keep plodding on and see how we get with it. I had to take out the shock on this side because I just couldn't get the radiator out clean, so I had to basically loosen this one. Well, they're both completely unbolted now, but the radiator is now out, and the good thing is you can see now it's out how you can see where it's been leaking along there. It's all wet, and along in here. Now I've noticed that it's been repaired there before, and it looks like it's had a repair done there, maybe there, not sure, and the same on the other side here. Not a good quality radiator at all, that. But there we go, it's out, and now I can clean up all inside here, make it all nice and clean, and yeah, then I can look at putting the new one in. Okay, so we've got the Pro Alloy radiator there. I had to modify these brackets to come out far enough to hold this, and I did hear that this is a problem to get in. I overcame that by just unbolting it there and there, slipping it over the top and then bolting it on. And it's basically because the riv nut behind here catches the back of this, and some people notch the back of this out, but I just thought I'd try that. It's going to make fitting the radiator in a little bit more tricky, because normally you could slide this in, once the radiator's in you could just slide it in, whereas I've now got it attached as it is, so it's going to make fitting it a bit more tricky, but we'll see how we get on with it. But it may well be that I have to take it back out and do that anyway. But yeah, it's I need about 8 arms. Well, here we are, the near side shock going back on. The Pro Alloy radiator all installed. New pipes, new silicone pipes here, new alley pipes, all bolted up, all screwed up. It was actually really easy to get in, which is good. I definitely think taking that side and that side panel off there made a big difference. But you can see the old pipes down here and the state of them. Yeah, looking good. Here we are. Radiator in, looking very snazzy with its new pipes, new hoses. I've blocked off the air vents there. Someone kindly pointed out to me that if I put just filters on there, hot air will just go into it, which means that it will just get hot in the cabin. I won't get any cool air. So what I've done is just put some caps over there and block them off. You can see the tunnel cooling mod back there with the 2 pipes going in, and those pipes come to this vent here, so they'll be blowing cold air through the tunnel, which is fantastic. I've cleaned up under here, it looks really smart. what I'll do is I'll show you a picture now of the radiator now I've got it out, the old one, and I'll put that on the screen now, and you'll see that it's been badly bodged in the past. And I think, looking at all the nuts and bolts that held this all on, they were all fairly new. So I think they're probably done by the garage that I bought it from, in all honesty, which isn't great, but then my experience with them wasn't great. So yeah, so it's definitely scrapped, that radiator. Nothing I can do with it. It looks like it's got cold weld on there. Anyway, the car is looking much nicer. So all I've got to do now is I've topped this up with coolant in here using that pipe there. I'm going to take the front off of it, put some coolant in the back, run the engine up without the fans in just to check that there's no leaks, try and bleed the system through. Once I'm happy with that, I will then install the fans, which are down here. I'll install them back in there. Then she's good to go, and hopefully she'll be working a treat. And I can carry on with the original job, which was replacing this piece along here, the drip tray. Okay, all of this bolted up, ready to go. It's all nice and solid. I've now added this lovely carbon fibre piece that I started the video trying to do when I discovered that it had a water leak. So that's now in. I'm just going to check that the clearances are okay for the wiper mechanism. Once that's done, the arms can go on, and then the front can go on. There we have it. The clam is back on. The new carbon fibre drip tray looking very smart inside there. And now I can look to bleed the system through. One big challenge though is my steering wheel is currently off at the trimmers, so I have no steering wheel. So not sure quite how I'm going to get the car out of here to bleed the system through, but we'll see.